All right, everybody. Welcome back to episode 7 of the Dig Route. I am your host, TJ, alongside Justin. We're back again. I'd like to think better than ever, to steal a line from Mike Greenberg here. But Justin, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How about you?
I can't complain. Things are starting to move back a little bit here in Indiana. So in some of our counties, things are starting the reopening process, which is a little bit scary. So the county that I'm in is still, under a stay-at-home order.
Yeah.
But 89 of the 92 counties in Indiana are opening up. So things are looking up. Things are positive. I'm going to look at that as a positive thing. So,
Did you guys have any sort of mass gatherings of sorts this weekend? Did you have a beautiful weekend of sorts?
so there's we did, Morgan and I did, where we stayed home, but
You follow the rules, yeah.
yeah, I'm a rule follower. I'm a big fan of rules, especially ones that are very enforceable. But there's a trail that goes from one of the suburbs of Indianapolis down to downtown Indianapolis that apparently was packed this weekend. So not a great sign, but we'll see what happens. I'm hopeful that things are progressing in a way where the health experts are saying, we can start this process.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one that isn't like firm on dates, like they have date targets, but it's all going to be backed by science. So hopefully things go well. So that's an exciting and encouraging happening going on here. How's everything by you? You guys still under a stay at home?
Oh yeah, most definitely. They opened some parks around here, which was nice. Seems like some people definitely abused it
Yeah.
a lot. But what's that old saying? Give 'em an inch, they take a mile, right?
Yep. Oh,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
if you saw a picture of Central Park this weekend, man, you
Yeah.
would think that there's no pandemic,
Yeah.
like no shot.
It was crazy. I don't
But
know what's going on. To me, if you're going to if the things are going to be open, people are going to go to them. So, you know, uh, I don't know
yeah,
what to think, but I did want to make sure that we started today's show paying our respects to the great Don Shula, who passed away earlier today at the age of 90. Arguably one of the greatest coaches, not arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time. You can argue, have a potential argument about him being at the top of that list, just for what he was able to do in Baltimore and with Miami. He was a winner's winner. He
yeah.
did the winning thing before it was cool. He has the only perfect season on record in the Super Bowl era. So I mean, you can't really get much better than that.
No, totally agree. You have the unfortunate people who put the asterisk because it wasn't a 16 game season. They say it doesn't count as much as the quote unquote Patriots one did, but the Patriots also didn't win a Super Bowl. So I'm going to take Don Shula's record over that all day long. I mean, yeah, man, you want to talk about just a straight up pioneer of football.
All-time leader in career wins. And he coached through some crazy times in Miami, and it was all consistent. I think he won 332 games, if I'm remembering correctly. It's something absurd, and he coached for about 30 years, so he was winning on average 10 games a year. And like you mentioned before, in most of those seasons, maybe not most, but in a lot of those seasons, they were only playing 12 or 14 games.
That
So
just shows the consistency, if anything, to me, man.
very, very consistent. Overall, just legend of the game. And rest in peace. And pushing out good thoughts to his family and his friends, and he certainly will never be forgotten.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But yeah, so I really like your point about the Super Bowl thing, about how people will try to diminish what the Dolphins did in 72 because it wasn't a 16 game season. I don't know about you. I don't care about that at
It
all.
it it it, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I think nowadays, especially with the way science has emerged, and we see studies of concussions and CTE and everything that has accounted for. You're really jeopardizing a lot if you're going for a perfect season. Like honestly, man, and you saw that with the Colts, I want to say, what was it, 2009, 10?
They had it a couple times. They
Yeah.
they they had it a couple times where they started 10-0,
They
12.
were they were they were playing the Jets. I remember when they brought in Curtis Painter,
Yep.
and then they lost the game. To me, Curtis Painter is one of the worst quarterbacks ever in football history. But that is an argument for another day.
Mhm.
But I think at that point, Tony Dungy realized that this is not worth it. We had to pull this out because what's the goal here? Is the goal to have a perfect season, or is the goal to win a title?
The goal, obviously, to win a title.
Exactly.
Right.
You don't when when you all get together for training camp and mini camp at the start of the year, and you get your team meetings. You're not talking about a perfect season. You're talking about winning a damn championship.
Mhm.
So I I don't think it's important because it's nothing that you ever set out for.
Right.
It's nothing that the Patriots set out for. It's nothing that the '85 Bears set out for when they went 15-1. It's something that Don Shula set out for. If it happens, it happens. But you should take every game at a time, and you should ultimately try and win. And at the end of the day, man, what if you go 13-3? That's not a bad thing. Those 3 losses are going to teach you a lot down the road.
Oh yeah, and I think Bill Belichick said that he wishes that they kind of lost the game at the end of that year in 2007. Maybe to the Giants if they lost that last regular season game. I think they would have been in a better position in the Super Bowl because all of that pressure it's a serious thing, and we saw how it weighed on one of Bill Belichick's best teams. He's won 6 titles. He's been to 4 others. I think it is something ridiculous. And when he gets there and he's trying to win from that level, and he can't center that team, how serious that pressure is. I think the only time being perfect really matters is in high school when you kind of have to be perfect in order to win anything.
I think college matters a little.
Yeah, but how many one loss or one loss champions do we see in college football? I think we see it a lot more regularly.
A
I don't.
lot, but there are a fair amount of national title games that have no lost teams.
Oh yeah,
USC versus Texas is a big one that stands out in my mind. I think USC versus Oklahoma,
Clemson and LSU last year.
Clemson, LSU. It's just yeah. I don't think it's rare in college football. It's rare in college basketball.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, when was the last time it happened in college basketball?
I think that John Calipari, Derrick Rose team, I think lost 1 game.
Yeah.
Okay, they lost 2 games. I want to say they went into the title game like 33-1 or 32-1 or something like that.
And then
They lost to Kansas, and Mario Chalmers hit that crazy shot.
and then Carl Anthony Towns that game in Kentucky. I think it was 2012. Was it that year? They lost in the Final Four, I think it was, or the Elite Eight. One of the two. They lost late in the tournament.
Well, that was Kentucky, yeah.
Yeah, Kentucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. I like.
That's the closest one that comes to my memory. I remember Boston College and Illinois were both undefeated at one point. Way, basically like 05, maybe 04. D Brown, I think, was playing basketball. It was just a really long time ago.
Yeah, I think
I was 12. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it puts a lot of pressure on somebody and on a team to try to win. I think that's just unnecessary pressure. There's already enough pressure to win as it is, and then on top of it, to try to do something that hasn't been done since the '70s. And from an NFL perspective, I don't think it's something that you should shoot for. If you're 15-0, obviously you don't try to lose a game. But sometimes, like you said, that loss can teach you more than winning that game. So it's really something that's interesting to me. I don't think it's ever going to be able to be touched. I just the closest thing I think now to potentially doing it is maybe Pat Mahomes. Like he still has a lot of room to. He can still get better, which is a terrifying thing.
Yeah, but there needs to be something that happens on the other side of the football in order for that to happen, because the Chiefs are definitely a flawed defensive football team. They're obviously they won the Super Bowl, but they have flaws.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean there's nobody who is quote unquote perfect. Like even that '72 Dolphins team that didn't lose a game was still imperfect. Like that they still no one is fully and totally perfect when it comes to it comes to the football team. There's always going to be one game or one half where things, if a ball bounces a different way, then it's a totally different outcome. So I think if I had to think of anybody currently playing right now who could potentially do it, I'd probably say it's him. But I mean, even that is a long shot. Like I don't think that defense can really, you can't always count on them. That the playoffs scared me.
Yeah.
But what they did against Houston and Tennessee, where they just give up early leads, and even in the Super Bowl. But
I mean, we've said it time and time again, that Houston game. I mean, Houston could have stepped on the throat and called it a day, man. Like honestly, that what we just saw with Pat Mahomes winning, that all could have not happened had Bill O'Brien played football the correct way.
Right. It's crazy how legacies can be on certain
Unbelievable. 28-0
plays. But we talk about perfect here. I'm going to try to make a segue, but I think one of the perfect moves of the offseason so far has been the Dallas Cowboys signing Andy Dalton, and for a multitude of reasons. Number one, they got him pretty cheap for a backup quarterback, or as how expensive backup quarterback can be. I think his deal is like $7 million, maybe.
$7 million, yeah.
Remember?
I think it's like 4 actual and like 3 in incentives, or 3 actual and 4 in incentives, something like that. But yeah.
So just a pretty good value overall there.
Team friendly
quarterback, and he, you get the leverage over Dak. They're, from what I'm hearing from the talking heads on TV, is that it really comes down to number of years. So I guess Dak was an older rookie, so he doesn't want to sign a 4 or 5 year deal. He wants to sign like a Kirk Cousins type of deal, 3 years, and then he has another extension in his prime. Which I totally understand, but the Cowboys obviously want to lock him down because, as we discussed a couple episodes ago, just how quickly these quarterback contracts are growing. They want to get him locked down for as much as they can, which I totally understand that. This gives a lot of leverage to the Cowboys, where they can say, okay, you don't want to, we're going to ride with Andy Dalton. So for the Cowboys listeners here, Justin, I know Andy Dalton is very familiar to you. What are the Cowboys getting in Andy Dalton?
You're getting a really damn fine quarterback, man. Like truly, totally unbiased. I watched this guy for 8 years. Just a long time as a Bengal fan, and I can tell you, you're gonna get a dude who is smart as all hell. He's a leader. He's passionate. His teammates love him. He's a family man. And you know what? At the end of the day, you can look at the playoff numbers and you can make your jokes and 0-4, 0-5, do your thing. But the dude wins, man. Like, the Bengals were no slouch. He came in 2011 as a rookie and won 10 games. Next year, they won 11 games. Next year, they won 10 games. Next year, they won 12 games. Next year, they won 11 games. That's not a slouch at all. And by many regards, at that point in time, he had more wins than quote-unquote elite quarterbacks, such as Ben Roethlisberger, such as Joe Flacco. And for the record, the fact that in the era of football, Joe Flacco was ever talked about as ever being almost or ever near elite is insanity to me. But besides the point.
So, I mean, the only reason he is because he won a Super Bowl. And so that puts him on a different tier than some of these other quarterbacks. I get what you're saying.
So did Brad Johnson and Trent Dilfer. Like, come on, man. What are we talking here?
Right. I understand that, but that still puts him in an exclusive tier of quarterbacks where, Dan Marino never won a ring. Like, it puts you in a certain tier. And he played lights out that entire back half of that season. Like he played it ridiculous. I think he went like 26-0 in terms of touchdowns to interceptions, something ridiculous like that. In like the last 4 weeks of the season and the postseason. So, I mean, he had a great second half of one season, and we won.
Joe Flacco's trash.
I mean, he won a Super Bowl. That's more than
Joe Flacco's trash.
That's
fine. It's more than Andy Dalton. Yeah.
So
Joe
but
Flacco's trash.
But we're in the era of #rings Twitter. Where rings are all that matters. So
yeah,
I disagree with that. I'm lean more towards your side of the argument, and I think that brings me to my point here with the backup quarterbacks. I think this slots Andy Dalton in as one of the top 5, top 3 even backup quarterbacks
Yeah,
in
man, you're
the
because you're
NFL.
getting a dude who's been through it. He has seen it. He has seen literally as low as it can go, and he can see almost as high as it gets. And let's be real, how much further has Dak Prescott gone than Andy Dalton?
Mhm. Yeah,
Not much.
I think he has won one playoff game, maybe.
Maybe.
I
Yeah,
don't.
he's won one. Yeah,
Um,
against Seattle.
so I mean, to me, when it comes to what you want from a backup quarterback, is you want somebody who can win you 4 games, like in the middle of the season if your quarterback gets hurt. And I think Andy Dalton can do that. I think
Mhm.
he's obviously shown the ability to do that. I think there was a stat I saw today where in his time as a starter in Cincinnati, he has more wins than Roethlisberger and Flacco do in that time period.
Absolutely. He
Um,
also is third in the NFL in fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives.
right.
Eh, Top, and that's including guys like Drew Brees and Russell Wilson and Tom Brady and like elite quarterbacks.
Mhm.
And he just plops his name right in third as this clutch guy that we don't talk about, man.
No, because he never did it past December.
Exactly. And that's the problem. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because from my perspective, as a dude who watched him day in and day out for 8 years, I saw a pretty good quarterback. I don't get me wrong. I saw a bad quarterback at times. Like he had his game against what Joe Goodberry called uncommon opponents, teams that he wouldn't face on a regular basis. So team from like the NFC North or the NFC South or etc. Um, but sometimes he would also ball out in those games. And I love him. I
Mhm.
do. I'm going to miss him. I think the city is going to just miss his presence because he is great for the community. He was great for the fans. He was booed, but at times, but I know deep down, and you could see it all over Twitter that this is a loved dude. And yeah, he will not be forgotten in Cincinnati.
Absolutely. So who would you say is the best backup in the NFL? And we'll get into why we're talking about this in a second. I'm just curious who you think.
Andy Dalton definitely throws his name in the ring now. Like, no, obviously. Um, mm, if Jacoby Brissett stays in Indy, I like Jacoby Brissett a lot. I think that's a fantastic backup quarterback, especially because he knows that system so well. That is his system that Philip Rivers is coming into. So Philip Rivers is going to look to Jacoby for questions and advice on certain things and play calls and
Yeah, and Philip Rivers played in this offense too. He played Frank
oh
Reich
yeah,
offensive
oh yeah, he did.
years ago. So he's some
Familiarity, yeah,
yeah he has a little bit, but
absolutely.
I mean to me mine is Jameis. I think
Mm.
just from the thing with Jameis is he's a roller coaster, and like the highs are extremely high and the lows are terrible.
You do love Jameis.
I do. I love him. I can't get enough of him. Honestly, I can't wait for his 30 for 30 about his 30 and 30. I can't wait for it. It's just too perfect. I love Jameis, but I think in all seriousness, the talent that he has and under the right coaching, if Drew Brees were to miss a couple games this year, I would be confident enough for Jameis to win me 2-3 games when I needed him to. I think he could do that under the right coach.
I think so because I think his team is good enough
Mhm.
to pull him out if he does make a mistake. Because let's be real, he probably will.
Well, he also had LASIK,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
have you
Lacey.
have you heard what he said about? He's like, I can see license plates now.
Oh,
I can see street signs now. So
awesome.
he was playing blind his first 5 years, and that gets me excited to see.
I'm just saying.
I totally get you. I'm a James.
He's a trigger happy quarterback, man. He's ready to fucking sling it. There's no question about his arm strength. There's no question about any of that. There's a huge question about where he's throwing the ball to and why he's throwing it there at that point in time and why he didn't throw it either earlier or later or X or Y.
Oh, I
Yeah.
totally get you. And
That's a good one though.
I mean, I think if I'm asking, I really can't think of another backup that's as as good as Jameis is in terms of talent. Like Jameis is always, he could make some boneheaded mistakes. Is he the backup though?
I think so.
They declined Trubisky's. We'll get to it in a little bit, but they declined Trubisky's fifth-year option, so I don't know about that. I don't fully know what they're planning to do in Chicago.
I don't think they know what they're planning on doing in Chicago.
Right. Now, I'm sure people get upset that neither of us really mentioned Nick Foles until this point, because he famously came in and won a Super Bowl, but I mean, I don't know. He got hot. Like, other than that, like when he's been given a chance to start, like that was it. Like he had that one.
Yeah, man. And look back to his time when he was in St. Louis. It was a failure. Look at his time in Kansas City. It wasn't too hot. Andy Reid loved him. Andy Reid shipped him out and got rid of him.
So I mean, if I'm trying to win a couple games, I'm not. I don't know. I'd be hesitant to go to Nick Foles right away. But I think he's definitely up there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that Nick Foles is like a complete
gun to your head right now. Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles? Who's your quarterback?
Nick Foles.
What does he have to do to lose that job to Mitch Trubisky?
Not turn the ball over in the preseason. If there is a preseason, I don't know about that, but so to me, what I think is going to happen in Chicago is I think they're going to try to like rig the competition to Trubisky and like see what he can do in the beginning of the year, but I think it's going to be a very short leash. And I think they wouldn't absorb that contract of Nick Foles if they didn't think that he was going to be there for longer than this year. That's a big contract to take on. I think he's on a 4-year, $84 million contract or something ridiculous like that.
But you also have to think, did they just pull the trigger too quickly on that backup situation? Like, they saw that Andy Dalton was going to get released anytime soon. Do you think that they maybe just said, "Oh, Nick Foles, we need this now. Go."
That's why they might not view him as the backup. Like a $22 million, you're gonna spend.
No, but they do. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, $21 million is a lot to invest in a backup quarterback. That's all I'm saying. And so I think overall,
you're still paying Mitch Trubisky like $11.5 million this year, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. I have no clue what in the world Chicago is doing it with their quarterback position. I'm going to work on getting a Bears fan to come on here and we can talk it through because I'm very curious to see what they think of the quarterback situation.
Should also get a Jags fan on here. I'm really curious on the Minshew Mania hype.
I don't know if I know any Jaguars fans.
I don't know if there are any.
No, there are quite a few.
I'm kidding, Jags fans. I'm kidding.
But so this year especially, and the reason why we're spending so much time talking about backup quarterbacks, Peter King made this point in his column, and I was really, I very much agree with it. The reason the backup quarterback position this year in particular is going to be so important is because what happens if their quarterback tests positive for COVID-19 in the fall? That's 2 weeks mandatory quarantine. Mm-hmm. So that's 2 weeks, 2 games at least that your quarterback is going to be missing. So the backup quarterback is even more important because even like that's something that's really outside of the field of play. And we don't really see quarterbacks other than mine missing games because of illness or something that happens off the field. It's usually
very rarely. Yeah. A guy has flu-like symptoms. They give him an IV and
and they usually play. And so the backup quarterback especially is so important because that's 2 weeks mandatory, and that's not even if and then after that, if they show symptoms at any point, I think it's like even longer. It's 2 weeks after they stop showing symptoms. Like it's a very long process that these folks can be out in, even if they're asymptomatic. So this whole world that we're living in now can really impact the football world in that way because, somebody could not even be sick and miss 2 games. Imagine that on a team chasing the playoffs. And right at the end of their season, their quarterback has to be in quarantine for 2 weeks.
Pat Mahomes test positive for COVID-19.
Imagine that. like, and I don't want him to get sick. I don't want any NFL player to get sick. But
No, not at all.
it's going to be fascinating this year to see what happens.
Matt Moore's fast to win a go title.
Right. And that's why I'm not going to blame.
That's another one. He's pretty good, actually.
Right. And
I throw Matt Moore into the top 10.
Yeah. Oh, he's
Journeyman.
Yeah. I'd watch him, maybe see what the Jets are going to do.
Remember when Matt Moore got destroyed in that playoff game? I think it was against the Patriots.
I don't know.
He was on the Dolphins at the time. Destroyed. Oh my! You got to Google it. It's awful. It's why I think football won't exist in 30 years. It's so violent, man.
It'll exist. It'll change just like every sport does. It'll change to be.
It's another talk for another day.
Exactly. But so the backup quarterback position is super important this year. So like some people may be saying, well, what about the Bears? When the Bears traded for Nick Foles, it wasn't like they were planning to have a backup quarterback in case their quarterback tested positive for COVID-19.
Yeah,
they were making a move at quarterback to make a move at quarterback. There's a difference and an opportunity to distinguish between the two of them. The two are not related.
I'm gonna give you another one that just popped in my head that I really like, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I think I like Marcus Mariota. I think that's a great backup quarterback.
Yep. I think so too. And then I like him too, RG3 in Baltimore.
That I don't like.
See, but to me, there's not really like a. I'm going to be careful with how I phrase this. Is that they wouldn't have to change much about the offense by putting RG3 in there. You know what I mean? Like sometimes
I think you would, because the offense, if Lamar goes down, your offense is severely fragile now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because when Lamar comes back, he is already more vulnerable to getting hurt again, just because that's just how life works. And two, any situation you're going in, I'm not putting RG3 under center, man. I can't. In good conscience, in good faith, to my football team, to his health, I don't think I could start that man under center.
I mean, hopefully they don't have to, but like to me, I wouldn't. I don't know.
If that dude's got to start 3 games, no shot he's surviving. It's not realistic to me. You've seen these injuries.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I've seen them. They're freak injuries, but that's why. Like, I'm not putting him under center, expecting him to start 17 games. If he needs to start 2 games for me, I can live with that. Like, with his experience, I can live with that.
Did you like him when he came out of college?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I only liked him because he got me to a fantasy championship his rookie year. The only reason I really liked him.
Yeah, I was never on the RG3 hype train. I never hopped on.
But I think he has the talent, or had the talent to potentially do something there.
Yes, but the torn ACL in college was a big red flag to me.
Yeah, hold on. I got to look this up because this is another one.
What do you got?
Case Keenum.
Oh, Case Keenum.
In Cleveland. That's a good one.
That's a great one.
Travis Baker. I mean, I think that Cleveland offense. I love the Browns this year. Just throwing that out there. I think they're gonna make the playoffs and all that fun stuff. But if Baker were to miss 2 games, let's say, I'm confident that Keenum can win at least one of them. Like split them at least.
I loved Case Keenum in college.
Yeah, Houston, right?
Houston, yeah.
Look at me knowing this stuff.
One of the best college quarterbacks of all time.
Oh yeah.
Great.
So backup quarterbacks super important. Heading into this year. But you brought this up in a
Cam Newton might put his name in that conversation too.
Well, he's currently unemployed, so he's not a backup right now. Now
he's currently making Instagram videos.
Yeah. Well, wherever he goes, see, because I think he's still holding out to be a starter.
That could be Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I have it at 3-1 to go to LA. But I don't think that's happening.
Not now anymore.
No.
Well, him and throwing Herbert would be fun, but no. I'm gonna say no on that one.
Chargers love Tyrod Taylor too. So
I know, yeah.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor starting the year, I think, as quarterback.
When do you think Aaron Rodgers requested trade?
I don't think he does.
No?
No. Why would he want to go anywhere else?
I've heard that there's some bridges burnt.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I was told that his fingernails were stepped on, and he's a little mad.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he is, but like he also before the draft spoke so highly of Matt LaFleur. Like I think he truly likes playing with Matt LaFleur.
I think he does too. And then I think he saw how Matt LaFleur drafted him. He's like, oh, I'm not in your plans here. Got it.
I don't know.
Because that's what that draft said.
Yeah. I mean, or it said, "Hey, we believe
you did nothing to improve that team.
No, they didn't.
You did something to better it for the future, potentially.
No,
you did nothing to currently improve.
They're the offensive players that they drafted are like that. Running back is going to be out of the league potentially before Aaron Rodgers is. Aaron Rodgers is only 36, and so I don't know.
Injuries are there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but
I think he. If Tom Brady's showing anybody anything, it's that Aaron Rodgers can play until he's at least 40, at least.
Well, Tom Brady has had a much more durable career than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I mean,
he also has taken less hits.
Yeah, he's taken a lot less hits, and then Aaron Rodgers also has had just some freaky injuries. Like,
yeah,
I mean, he got pile driven by Anthony Barr and missed 9 games a couple years ago. Like
that was a rough one. Yeah,
that was like just like the way Aaron Barr like lifted him up and drove him down. Like that's not. I wouldn't say like
good linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say he's on my list. He signed with the Jets for like a day and then said never mind and then left.
Oh yeah.
So he's on my list. Dan Orlovsky almost back on my list. Did you see what he got? He got punked today by his wife and kids with the broom and the bowl on the ceiling thing.
No, I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit fake to me, or seems a little bit fake to me. But he's close to being back on my list. If it's not fake and he actually fell for that, he's back on my list for being just an absolute moron.
You heard that, Dan?
Yeah. So exciting time in the NFL for the which draft is this? The 2015 draft, right? 2015 draft. Taking a look back there. You had brought this up, Justin, so I'm going to let you start with this. But what's been going on with the 5th-year options here?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's the 2017 draft. I can't count. It's the 2017 draft.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought because it was Jamal Adams. But
I can't. I'm not good with numbers, you know.
Yeah, so Justin on our notes wrote 2015, so that's why I said 2015.
I'm sorry.
17
in the 17 draft. So I always think that the player options are really emblematic of the results, essentially, of that draft and what teams truly think of their players if they still have them. So I thought it'd be fun to go through the first round real quick, as we did kind of last week, just to a greater degree. So Myles Garrett, as we all remember, was the number 1 overall pick. Of course, you're going to exercise him. He's amazing. Myles Garrett is going to make $15.2 million this year. Sounds about right. And he's probably going to be the highest paid defense player next year. And he will break whatever record that seems to be. And we'll get into that probably on another show. And up next, we have Mitch Trubisky, who's been declined. Mitch Trubisky would have been paid $24.8 million. TJ, good decline, bad decline?
Very, very, very good decline.
Okay.
You get out of that as soon as you can and just say, hey, you got this year to show it. You got to cut an investment short if it's not working out. And this hasn't worked out today.
You don't think there's anything there? You don't think he's talented at all?
I think he is. I don't think he's ever going to put it together in Chicago. Like I just think him and Nagy see the quarterback position so differently. Like what I'll never understand is how Mitch Trubisky makes the Pro Bowl in 2015 or 2016, whenever he made 2018, I guess. 18.
He had a great 2018.
Because he was
Nagy's first year was fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. And then I don't know what happened last year. He's just wildly inaccurate. I think that's the biggest thing is that in 2018 you had the receivers who could really make a difference in terms of catching a ball that's a little bit outside, a little bit high, a little bit low. I think that has a lot to do with it. So to me, he's got to show that he's more accurate. I mean, he's just wild. He just overthrows balls, underthrows balls, and he's he just gets frantic in the pocket. And it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, the talent is there. Like, we've seen it. I just think he has a lot to live up to with the two quarterbacks who were drafted after him, who we'll get to.
Absolutely. Up next, Solomon Thomas. I mean, bust. I mean, hardcore bust. Solomon Thomas, one of those guys who was a combine freak, had a great career at Stanford. People loved him. And coming to the draft, he was just hyped. And here he is now.
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Fournette declined.
Good decline.
$8.5 million.
Decline.
Well, you're going to get rid of him anyway. You're going to trade him anyway. So why are you going to give him the option anyway? So
right. Or not even that. Just like, why are you going to pay a running back $8 million a year? And a running back who's always hurt. I mean,
because you spent a fourth on him. That's why.
Right. And this is the thing I'm going to continue pushing, is that just because you spent X amount on him, if he's not working out, you're not obligated to stick it out. Like, he's been in the league for 3 years now. He's shown that he can't stay on the field. To me, you got to get out of it, and they're doing it. So
healthy one on the field, but yeah.
Props to Jacksonville.
Corey Davis, $15.7 million, declined.
Good decline.
Has not shown anything. A.J. Brown is the man there. He is going to run that wide receiver room for many years to come. Good decline. Jamal Adams, exercised, $9.9 million.
I had to do it. He's the, other than Myles Garrett and Pat Mahomes, he's the next best producing top 10 pick of that draft. So.
Absolutely. You just look through the top 5 of this draft here.
Mm-hmm.
Only one was exercised, and that's the number 1 overall pick. Says a lot.
Oh yeah, it says a lot about the draft, and I think this was Tom Coughlin's first draft. So, imagine having Jamal Adams and Jalen Ramsey on the back end of that defense, like, for those 2 years. Come on now, like,
that'd be scary.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Scary. Yeah, absolutely. Up next, I got Mike Williams on the Chargers, $15.7 million exercised.
This was my surprise.
That was my surprise too.
Exercise of the draft. I have another one later on, but last year he had his best yardage year, 1,001, so just over 1,000. Only 2 touchdowns though.
Yeah, a little surprising. Surprising year for the Chargers, period. Though, like, I think he went in. He was one of my draft sleepers last year in fantasy football. I was pretty big on him because I remember he had a great playoff and a great end to the season, 2018.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, Mike Williams is the man. This is it. Year 3, about to pop off.
He never put it together. He's never
saw it ish. I think anyone who goes over 1,000 yards, that's an accomplishment to me. I don't. Grant, if it's by 1 yard, I don't care. That's something to me.
To me, it's the 2 touchdowns too. Like at least Julio Jones had struggled with touchdowns before last year. Like, I think he had scored like 6 touchdowns in the 3 previous years or something ridiculous like that. So, but he was putting up 1,600 yards. Like, he was producing in other ways. Mike Williams, he's never put it together, because the year before he had 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
but Phillip Rivers had a bad year last year.
Yeah.
And I love Phillip Rivers.
But who else was Phillip Rivers thrown to? Like Keenan Allen was hurt for a couple games last year.
He threw a lot to Austin Eckler last year, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler killed me in fantasy.
When it comes to Mike Williams, I had Eckler 1 year too early. I had him.
I do that all the time. I'm the worst at that. I'm legitimately awful at that.
But so with Mike Williams, very surprising that they're going to pay him $15 million. I guess their thinking is long term they want to see him develop chemistry with Justin Herbert in practice or whatever, and then potentially do that. But they're setting themselves behind the ball, because if you're saying that you're going to pay Mike Williams $15.7 million in his 5th year, you're saying, okay, we're going to pay him at least $15.7 million in a contract extension.
Yep.
They're putting themselves behind the 8 ball from a negotiating standpoint. So I really don't know what the hell Los Angeles is thinking here.
Yeah. I always thought if you decline, you give yourself the leg up. It's up to the player. Hey, man, prove it to me that you're worth it and you can stick around. If I exercise you, that is me openly saying, all right, I'm probably going to keep you. You've already proven enough to me. Let's make this happen.
Right.
Mike Williams has not shown enough for that.
He hasn't. Or you exercise it like somebody who's at like one of those premium positions, like a quarterback or a tackle or a defensive end. Like if they're middle of the road, like if somebody had a Mike Williams level stat line as a defensive end, we're kind of like middle of the tier, hasn't really put it all together. You put that option because of the position that they play.
Mm-hmm.
at wide receiver, those are dime a dozen. Like you can get somebody off the street to put up 49 catches, 1,001 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like you can pull. You don't need to pay that person $16 million a year.
Yeah,
Just crazy.
Robbie Anderson came from the street and caught 1,000 yards. Just saying.
He was just short, but very close.
Very close. Christian McCaffrey up next. Obviously, was not exercised because he was extended.
That's 2 thumbs down.
That's 2 thumbs way down on this podcast. That's 2. Love Christian McCaffrey. Don't like the deal. Up next, kind of saw it coming because it's a lot of money. John Ross declined.
Smart.
Prove it for sure.
Yep.
Like I said, it gives the Bengals the leverage, puts more pressure on John Ross, as I think John Ross needs to do. I think his entire career has just been a confidence problem, an injury and confidence issue.
Yeah, because he got talent here, right?
Talent is there. Like, no, the dude's fast. Dude's got hands. Like, he can run. He's got route skills. Yeah, it's all there. He has to put it together.
Yeah.
And the limited time that he was on the field and his limited catches, I mean, he had 7 touchdown catches last year on 25 catches. But
because he had a good first couple weeks, and then he got hurt. And then
then he got hurt, then he came back, then he got hurt, then he came back. So he's got a lot of flashes in the pan. There are a lot of overthrown balls by Andy Dalton and awfully thrown balls by Ryan Finley that maybe could have suited John Ross a bit better. So I think a much more accurate quarterback.
Yeah, I think the Bengals put themselves in an interesting position with this one because let's say John Ross has a ridiculous year. Like he plays out his last year and now – let's say he has 100 catches.
Got to sign him.
Then you got to sign him. But, like, you know.
You're going to ask what about AJ Green, right?
Well, no. But the same concerns that we have now still will exist at that point, you know. So it's like they might end up overpaying. I like the move personally. I'm thinking.
I do like the move. I'm more surprised by the move, actually, because they do like to pick up their guys. And they like to keep, as I've told you, they like to keep them around.
Right, but I mean, this one you're not tied to that. You're not fully guaranteeing that.
Well, again, I mean, this is also a very different Bengals front office than we've seen in years past. So, yeah, good move. I like the decline. Pat Mahomes. I'm not even going to elaborate. Exercised. Marshawn Lattimore, cornerback for the Saints. Great move. Exercised. One of the top 10 cornerbacks in the league. No questions asked. Deshaun Watson, number 12. Obviously, exercise. Going to earn $7.5 million this year. Your guy, I know you're very proud of Deshaun.
I'm very proud of him because I've been a fan of Deshaun Watson since his first game against Alabama.
I know you were. I remember we talked about Deshaun Watson when I was actually still living at home. I was smoking a cigarette down in my the cul-de-sac in my mother's neighborhood, and I was sitting in my car. We were talking on the phone, and you were raving about Deshaun Watson. You're like, dude, this kid's got it. Like literally, he has it.
Yep.
He's going to be awesome in the NFL. I'm like, I don't know, man. He's like, dude, I'm telling you, this is my guy.
Yep.
And Watson is TJ's guy. I can wholeheartedly vouch for that.
Yeah, he has been. He always will be.
Yeah.
I want to see him succeed. As long as it's not New England, I'm happy. So good for you, Deshaun.
Good for you, Deshaun. We're all proud of you over here on the Dig Route.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, Hassan Riddick, outside linebacker from Temple University for the Cardinals, declined at $10.1 million. Hasn't really done a whole lot yet to live up to the top 15 pick. Fine athletically,
right, especially with the that he's in Arizona, right? Yeah, especially with the drafting of Isaiah Simmons. I don't,
exactly. I think the future is very bleak for Hassan Riddick. I feel like he's one of those guys that has a good second wave.
I agree. I think
some of those guys are my favorites too, to be honest with you. Those first, second round picks that miss out on their first team, but that next contract, they just find a home and it just fits right in. I love those.
Oh yeah.
Up next, Derek Barnett, number 14, Philadelphia Eagles, exercised. Great move. Derek Barnett he's a problem. Absolutely. That say what you will about the Philly defense, obviously much improved. That front four is downright filthy.
Yeah, I mean the problem is their back end hasn't been able to give them enough time to get after the quarterback.
Yeah,
that's really. I mean that's the biggest downfall for their defense is that it's so front heavy that people just pick on the back end.
Yep, exactly. This one was actually just done today. It was the last one of the first round picks. Malik Hooker, safety out of Alabama, declined for $6.8 million.
Excuse me, sir. It's the Ohio State
The
University.
Ohio State. I'm sorry, you're totally right. You're totally right.
Yeah, so Malik Hooker, interesting one because I thought the Jets might have drafted him at 6 in this draft because he was just a ball hawk and he was what they
Highly touted.
uh,
He was a steal for the Colts at 15.
yeah, he had something like 40 interceptions on the scout team in practice, which is just unbelievable to think of when you think of like the level of competition at Ohio State. Injuries obviously have kind of kept him out of. He had I think it was a hernia or something as a rookie, and then he tore I think an ACL maybe or Achilles, one of the two in the middle of his stay. So I totally get this move from the Colts. I think it's a smart move. And why not be able to have him play this out and then get him cheaper than you might have, I think it's a good move.
I agree. Up next, the Ravens. Marlon Humphrey, cornerback, exercised.
Good move.
Freaking hate Marlon Humphrey. God damn it. Anytime the Ravens or Steelers, and I guess now the Browns, because the good things do happen to them, anytime they do something well,
yeah,
like the Ravens draft drove me crazy.
Oh, it was so good.
Because I loved it so much, I was so mad about it because I know that draft is a problem in the future.
Right. Well, I mean, the same thing with me with the Bills and the Dolphins. Like they had
great draft, but you
freaking
hate it.
Any other teams have draft those same exact players and those exact spots. It's a great draft, but because it's the Bills and the Dolphins,
I can't tell you how many guys the Steelers have drafted that I loved coming out of college. Juju Smith-Schuster, James Conner.
Yep.
Bud Dupree. I loved Bud Dupree. Holy shit. I think he's on this list.
No, it's TJ Watt.
TJ Watt is on this list.
Bud Dupree was
year before.
Yeah. What else you got?
What else do I got for you? Redskins, Jonathan Allen exercised. Absolutely great move. That defensive line is going to be disgusting in Washington. And I think that's something to build on for sure. Build around rather.
I mean, that team has the potential to go from really bad, almost, I'm not going to say Niners level jump because a lot depends on how Dwayne Haskins improves, but with the stability that they have in Ron Rivera from a coaching standpoint, I think the Redskins are definitely a team to watch next year to at least threaten or compete for a playoff berth.
I love that Josh Norman is no longer on the Redskins.
Yeah.
Now that Ron Rivera's there.
Yeah, I did.
Ain't no coincidence.
No, it's absolutely not. And he's a disciplinarian, Ron Rivera is.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I like Ron Rivera.
The players coach. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Very respectable, yeah.
And a lot is going to happen. A lot is going to be what happens with Dwayne Haskins.
This is needed for Washington. Good move. Up next, Dory Jackson, cornerback for the Titans. Great pick. Hit, exercise, $10.2 million. A return specialist, their number one cornerback, and a really solid secondary led by safety Kevin Byard. Big fan. Yeah. Loved Dory Jackson coming out of, I believe it was USC. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Huge fan. Next up, O.J. Howard, exercise at $6 million.
Tom Brady loves his tight ends. That's the
Tom Brady loves his tight ends. That is an absolute fact.
And
if Gronk is only there for a year, then this is your baby Gronk, man.
I mean, if anyone benefits this year from Tom Brady and Gronk being there, it's O.J. Howard.
So long as he doesn't get traded, but I feel like you're not going to exercise him if you're trading him.
Well, the Jets did it with Leonard Williams. So.
Very true. Up next, the Broncos, Garrett Bowles, offensive tackle, number 20, decline, trash.
Garbage. He was like a 28-year-old rookie, too.
Yeah, he was awful.
He
was like Brandon Whedon.
The
Lions at number 21, Gerard Davis, linebacker. Never lived up to the hype.
Couldn't even tell you who he is, honestly. And
middle linebacker, not very good.
Yeah.
Not very good. Who do we have next? We have Charles Harris, defensive end for the Falcons, declined at $10.1 million. So this is why it gets interesting, because I feel like we've seen so many more declines at this point than we have exercise, right? And the few that we have seen exercise are middle round talents. Right. So I think that this is the best way to truly look at how teams evaluate players.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the evaluation scales change on a yearly basis around this time period, because you look at what your metrics were for this player, why he hit that threshold, why you garnered and cherished him so much and picked him there, and why that was wrong, why you shouldn't have done that. And I think that changes so much of the landscape of the NFL and teams nowadays as a whole is because of these literal fifth-year options.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and
Because
yeah, you're totally right. And I think one of the big points too about this year in particular is that I remember it being them touting it as a very top heavy draft where teams in that middle tier were looking to trade down and get more picks because there wasn't a lot of gap between like the 20th best player and the 48th best player. Like teams would have had them slotted all over the place. So I think we're kind of seeing that where, I mean, with this draft, the top half isn't really exercised a lot, but there are a lot exercised in the middle rounds.
Mhm.
Those are like the tail ends of.
Well, this is the draft that pretty much has employed, I think, a third of the running backs in the NFL. This is that draft, and only one of them has been said in this list.
I think isn't he
He's Leonard Fournette, and he was declined.
right? Yeah, a very very interesting draft to me. So I'm if you see like the smart teams too in this draft are the ones that are exercising it. You know, like the Eagles, the Ravens, the Titans, like they're the ones.
I wouldn't even say it has to do with team intelligence. I think it's just you hit or you missed.
Right.
And
But sometimes that has to do with the team intelligence, you know, like the
yeah,
hit on a lot of their first round draft picks, like we've seen. So
not as many as you think, because you're talking. You said the Ravens, right? Because we're talking about a team that graded Hayden Hurst higher over Lamar Jackson. And the reason you got him was because nobody was going to draft him in the first round. You saw the opportunity to trade back in. That was never your intention. That was never your draft strategy. You just saw the opportunity there as Ozzie Newsome and made the splash. You valued Hayden Hurst to a degree that you took him in the first round as a tight end, which we all know is odd. If you're great, like if you're a Vernon Davis, awesome. If you're Evan Ingram's turned into a really good tight end, that's great too. But like, I don't know. Hayden Hurst had a very high expectation. I think it was coming out of Ole Miss, and you have a higher grade on him than Lamar Jackson. I think that's fascinating.
I mean, they weren't the only team though. Like
no, I know, and that's
a lot of teams don't know.
It's amazing to me, truly.
Yeah.
Now,
there were concerns with Lamar Jackson though coming out of college, like
with his overall intelligence.
Yeah, I never.
Could he process all this? Could he figure this shit out?
I was a big Lamar guy.
I was a big Lamar guy because of the wow factor. Yeah.
Oh, I believe what he could do because people here's the thing that it's weird with him in particular because he played in a pro style offense in college. So the whole can he learn a pro style offense is a load of shit because he played in one in college.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Petrino's offense is a pro style offense, has pro style elements in that offense, and he mastered it. He won a freaking Heisman in it. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think it's an excuse because people didn't want to say we don't want a quarterback that's athletic as Lamar Jackson is.
He's got to get bigger. He's got to bulk up.
I don't even think he does.
No, he does. He's a hit away from.
Well, and anyone is. You know, I think I don't.
No, but him is
really has.
There's something. You're much more vulnerable as him. Mm-hmm. You are.
Yeah, but
you only have a certain amount of years left doing what you do before you start taking hits.
Yeah, I mean,
you could be as elusive as you want. Right. You're going to get rocked.
Right. But even if he gets bigger, he's still going to get rocked, and he can still get hurt. Like
yes, but look at Michael Jordan, man. Michael Jordan got bigger. He stood back up. You don't want Lamar Jackson to get hit and stay down.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I think
if he's bigger and he's stronger, the chances of him getting injured are probably a little less because he could take a stronger hit because he is bigger and stronger.
But if he's bigger and stronger, he probably can't do as or be as effective as he is because the number one thing he has is he's deceptively fast. Like his speed is unbelievable.
No, I know he just takes off. I've seen him. I know.
It's probably 4.3, 4.4 somewhere there. And I think the reason he didn't run at the combine is because if teams saw how fast he ran, they'd want to put him at receiver, like Bill Polian wanted to. I don't know. I don't think he necessarily needs to bulk up or anything like that, because I think he, like, if you watch him run, like he falls in a way to avoid getting hit, because this is how he's played the position his whole life. So he knows how to not get hit. I think that's one thing that Le'Veon Bell has as well, is they have,
Le'Veon Bell has torn his ACL like 3 times.
dude, he missed because of suspension, and then because one of your dirty players pulled him down wrong.
I
So
don't know. I don't know who you're talking about.
you have no idea who I'm talking about. Of course,
I don't have any dirty players on my team.
not anymore, because you got rid of him, thankfully.
I
He
don't
also
have any dirty
lost,
players on my
lost
team.
a playoff game.
Are you referring to the guy whose T-shirt I wear, Vontez Perfect? Is that who you're talking about?
Yes, that's who I'm talking about.
I had no idea. Oh,
Yeah. So what? But he really hasn't missed any other games, Le'Veon Bell. But the thing about him, and if you watch him run, he falls in a way that avoids the brunt of the force of the tackle. Like it's unbelievable how he does it. But like the way he falls, the way he moves, is that he makes it so that he's absorbing as little bit of the impact as he can.
he's another one that the Steelers ruined.
Yeah. From Michigan State too, guy.
That one hurts the heart bad.
Where are we at next? I feel like we're getting off track here. Are we at Evan Engram?
I'm at Evan Ingram. I'm exercising Evan Ingram, as do they. After Evan Ingram, we got Garyon Conley, cornerback. Absolute garbage. Garyon Conley is supposed to be a slot cornerback, and just, if you know anything about the Texans backfield, it just gets burnt constantly like a s'more. It's awful.
It's Bill O'Brien being a moron.
Jabril Peppers, exercised.
This is my surprise. This is another surprise exercise. I don't know why they're doing that.
I'm not surprised. They like him.
I know they like him, but he's not good.
Now he's gonna go play linebacker.
Yeah, but I don't know, man.
If there was Xavier McKinley in the back, absolutely. This is like what the Bengals are doing with Sean Williams. You're just gonna use a safety as a linebacker and Von Bell. You just use this linebacker and just let patrol and just.
Right, but that's $600 million. That's a lot of money for.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Jabril Peppers. I've never been.
You're paying Jamal Adams 10.
Yeah, but Jamal Adams has made two All Pro teams.
Okay, but there's a difference of $3 million there that I'm not too mad about.
I mean,
versatility. I don't know. I'm not mad about it.
I'm not mad about it because it's the Giants, but I'm just a little surprised that
if I'm a Giant fan, I'm cool with it. I'd be happy. Takk McKinley declined.
This is my surprise decline.
Very surprising decline, because I think in 2018, Takk McKinley played great football.
Yeah, so he as a rookie he had 6 sacks. Second year he had 7. Last year he was down to 3.5. But this is the example that I was talking about before, where he plays a position of need for a lot of teams, is that outside edge rusher.
Yeah.
And he's only 24 years old. So
he seemed to miss on these edge rushers all the time.
Yeah.
Or so they think. I don't know, because Vic Beasley hit one year and then Vic Beasley missed.
Right.
And now he's gone.
Because people
Takk McKinley is a really surprising one to me.
Right. It's very surprising because it's $10.1 million to control that extra year. So I guess maybe they want to. I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing. I was shocked by this one, by them not taking it, because why not at least give yourself another year to get an extension done?
For sure. Tre'Davious White at 27.
Good.
Exercise. So good. So
yeah.
Yeah. Another top 10 quarterback in the NFL. No question.
Oh, yeah.
Number 26, Taco Charlton. He has been waived. So that's where they think about him. Originally drafted by the Cowboys, went to the Dolphins. He is no bueno aside from his name being Taco.
Yeah, no argument for me.
David Njoku at 29. I love David Njoku. Loved him coming out of college. I thought it was a little high to draft him, but he is a first-round pick. He gets exercised. It's good because I do like him, but I think it's a crowded tight end room in Cleveland.
Yep.
But
why not give your quarterback as many options as possible to win?
Yeah. No, I get it.
For only $6 million, you're paying Austin Hooper how much? Aren't they paying him like 16 or something ridiculous like that?
I think Austin Hooper's the highest paid tight end in football right now.
Yes. So I totally get your point where it's a lot of investment, but he's a good weapon, I think. So.
J.J. Watt. T.J. Watt. Obviously, just he's awesome. I didn't understand why he went so late in this draft. He's
a little undersized.
I guess, but you knew what you were getting. I love T.J. Watt.
It's another one where people overthought themselves, and not drafting him, but that's really what it comes down to for him.
Reuben Foster declined.
Scumbag.
Scumbag. Leave it at that. And the last one, number 32, Ryan Ramczyk, the new lifeline for Drew Brees.
That Saints draft in 2017 is absolutely ridiculous. Like, just looking at it, like,
It's so good.
getting him and Kamara back to back is just
And Thomas in 16, I think.
yeah, and Thomas the year before, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Loading up of your offense in 2 drafts, unbelievable.
Saints front office kill it.
They don't win a Super Bowl out of this.
God, that's a 30 for 30 right there.
Yeah, I mean, this iteration of the Saints is just, it's so good. After they had 3 7-9 seasons back to back to back.
This could be more painful than the 4 falls of Buffalo. I mean, just like we're talking like talent level alone here.
Well, and it's they've lost on ridiculous things as well. Like,
yeah, it's stupid.
The Minnesota Miracle, and then you have the
pass interference crap,
and then you have Kirk Cousins throwing just a lollipop of a pass that's somehow
Kyle Rudolph.
No, wasn't it Thielen?
Oh, I'm talking about the 2-pointer.
Oh, I'm talking about the one that set it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the lollipop to Thielen.
Yeah,
it was just wide open. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and then like the corner came back, tried to make a play at it, and they just slid, and unbelievable. Just I don't know. We could talk about the Saints all the time, but what's going on in the jungle, Justin? What is going on?
It is official. Joe Burrow, official starting quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, number 9 in the building. I think if we all remember, number 9 was previously worn by Mr. Carson Palmer. It's all very beautiful and fitting. In 2003, the year I became a Bengals fan at the age of 11, Carson Palmer was just drafted. So this is all coming of age for me. I feel rejuvenated in a sense. No, it's really exciting times, man. Number 9 in the house. They've had a lot of communication with him because they are obsessed with him now. And they are implementing some of his top 5, top 10 favorite plays from college into their offense, which I think is awesome, as teams should do. Adapt and adjust to your quarterback and his needs, not just what you want him to do. Do what he can do. Joe Burrow's good at a lot of things, so why don't you let him do the things he's good at here? And it seems like the Bengals want to take that approach, and I'm all in for that.
What a novel idea!
Novel idea. Let the guy do something he's good at. Crazy. I don't know. Look at the Seahawks did it with Russell Wilson. They didn't try and change anything. They let the dude do his game, and look at that. They got a Super Bowl out of it. I don't know. Just saying.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Just super exciting times. The departure of Andy was sad. He posted a video on his Instagram. It's about 3 minutes long. I'd be lying if I told you I didn't shed a bit of a tear, and I'm not an emotional dude at all. I got a little sad watching him. I've been watching Andy Dalton since I was 19 years old. I've become a man while watching Andy Dalton. So I watched. Yeah, that was very touching. And watching all my favorite Andy Dalton plays and his highlight reel, it was cool. If you haven't seen an Andy Dalton highlight reel, I can assure you it exists. Don't be an asshole.
I was just going to say, what highlight reel?
Yeah, I was ready for the quick mark. That's why I came loaded. I would recommend going on YouTube and looking up a little stretch. There's a few. We had a crazy wild comeback in 2015 against the Seahawks. 24-point comeback in the second half, fueled by Andy Dalton, and it was really awesome. And I remember watching that game at home. I was working at a restaurant at the time, and I was gonna be late to my shift, so I hopped in my car. I kept the phone playing. Totally was illegal, holding the phone, watching it while driving, because I could not miss a single second of this wild comeback. And for those of you who do not know or remember, the Bengals were undefeated in 2005 until they were 8. Yeah, they were 8-0. And so until week 9, which is not a bad stretch at all, if you ask me. Yeah, and then also in 2014, Andy Dalton, or 13, Andy received a pass from Mohamed Sanu from the backfield and did a little spin move away from the Titans cornerback, and then proceeded to scramble for another 15 yards for a touchdown and dove into the end zone, and it was really awesome. So here's to you, Andy. We're all gonna miss you here from New Jersey to Cincinnati to where any Bengal fan is. It was a great time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna miss him. Have fun in Dallas.
No, man, it was a dude that you hated on and you gave him the shit, but it was like I said before, he did a lot of good things that you enjoyed.
I mean, he was.
I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah. Oh, and
I'm excited for the times ahead because I know the times ahead are very bright and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be a little weird not seeing 14 in the backfield.
Yeah. I mean, every Bengals fan should be thankful for him. Just the history of the Bengals, like they were so bad for so long, and like he brought some stability and just some consistency.
Yeah, especially like with the Carson Palmer debacle going on,
right.
Carson Palmer was pretty much peeling back the curtain. He's like, hey, these guys are pretty dysfunctional, man. And I feel like Andy Dalton really stabilized that out. So that 2011 draft, him and AJ Green and a lot of other pieces that came, years later, the Carlos Dunlaps, the Geno Atkins, what made that unit. Yeah.
The one bad season and 5 playoff losses shouldn't tarnish their thought of him. Like if Joe Burrow wins 52 games, whatever Dalton won over the last, or the first 5 years of his career, like they'd throw him a parade almost. Like,
oh yeah, Joe Burrow wins one playoff game,
right?
It's over. Joe Burrow is the greatest quarterback to ever play in Cincinnati. Like game over, hands down, the end.
Right.
I don't care if they win a Super Bowl. Like this is how the fans will treat him.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get where you're coming from. I totally get it.
That'll be a ticker tape parade. We don't even need the Super Bowl.
Right. Oh yeah.
I'll produce it. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. So I mean, this year is the year a team that hasn't won in a long time is going to win because they're not going to be able to celebrate.
Yeah.
All of like the social distancing things.
Exactly.
So this is why I think the Saints are going to win. Like.
Oh, because New Orleans would just go.
Because in it's New Orleans. Oh. They've had like a torturous 3-year run. It's Drew Brees' last year.
Think about just the Saints' overall history. It's not a great franchise. This is their pinnacle right now. Yes, they won a Super Bowl. Yes, I get that. Archie Manning did not play for good teams. Archie Manning's a great football player. Played for some really awful teams. And growing up, the Saints were bad. Aaron Brooks was not the best quarterback. They had Deuce McAllister, who was a little overweight. They had Joe Horn, who I like. But you had Joe Horn. Like,
their run really didn't start until after
Sean Payton, 2000 Hurricane Katrina.
That I didn't want to say it's not because of Katrina.
It's not, but that was the time. That's the association because we all remember that Saints Falcons game where they just unloaded
Steve Gleason block punt like that.
Yeah, they recently played that on ESPN.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, it's very very exciting times in the jungle with with the Bengals in terms of what's going on the tarmac with the Jets. Marcus May, safety they drafted in this 2017 draft, is on the trading block potentially, according to Manish Mehta of the New York Daily News. To me, that's signals that they're going to try to sign Jamal Adams long term, which I like. He's a good player as long as the money's right. Like he's going to become the highest paid safety. But
gotta keep the ego in check.
Yeah, that's the other thing that
it's only going to get bigger.
Some of these egos, they like punch down, and it's like, why are you punching down? Like Jordan the other day, like if you're the greatest of all time, why are you punching down on Jerry Krause? Like, why are you punching down on a retired?
Because why is Jerry Krause trying to flex? Because that's why.
But it doesn't matter. You're punching down. Like to me, I think it's just like the dumbest thing in the world to try to punch down. So like Jamal Adams does it too. Is like he like punches down. Like be above that. Like just like you're so good at like you're so good at what you do. Like don't try to like project that onto somebody. Like I don't know. He just does this weird thing where he likes to talk I don't know. He's a very good player. I like what he does on the field. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of him off the field, just with his attitude. Like I just don't.
Yeah.
He's very, for someone who is as good as he is. He has a very fragile ego, and it's just like, come on.
It reminds me of almost like a Kevin Durant-esque ego.
Yeah, it's like, stop with that nonsense.
Not like the creativity, like throw all that out the window, but it's just like Jamal Adams seems like the type that has 19 burner accounts.
No, see, I don't think he has a burner account. He's
all right, 7.
No, he's the guy who he'll comment on it like from his Twitter account. Like,
no, I think he does both. I think he does both because he can play two sides.
I don't know.
Oh, totally.
I don't
Totally.
know. I don't think he has the burners. I think he's just.
I think more guys have burners than you think.
I have a burner. Everybody should have a burner.
I don't have a burner.
You should. It's fun. It's awesome. I get so much joy of like looking at people that like think it's just some random guy named, I'm not going to name what my Twitter is, like I do it to like instigate like things, and like
I do not have that. No.
It's fun. It's really fun. I like doing it.
You want to go instigate? Just go on Reddit, man.
I'm on there too. So I don't have a second Reddit yet, but I know some people do. But
that's a little excessive because they hang out in the dark world. That's weird.
Going back to Jamal Adams, like he is so. I guess the best way to put him, his rookie year, Joe Caporoso from Turn on the Jets, he had a good saying about Jamal Adams was he was more bark than bite, and that always stood out to me, is that no matter how good he gets, like his bark is just so annoying that I can't I can't truly appreciate his bite.
Just always chirping,
right? And it's just like, do it on the field. Like you don't need I see how good you are. Like I know how good you are.
Yeah.
I don't need you to constantly tell me how good you are.
Yeah.
It's annoying. It's stupid. I just don't appreciate that. So Marcus May is on the trade block, long story short. And I do love what Joe Douglas is doing, where the Jets may have a better team and worse record this year, but I think they're in a better spot long term. Just because
play for 2021.
Yeah, but this time I actually believe it, because they were overpaying for free agents and then playing for the next year. This year they're not overpaying for free agents. He's set his number for people, and if they're not at that number, he just moves on. So I really like that, and he's trying to build the team the right way through the draft, through trades, through those creative types of acquisitions. So I'm very excited for the way he's building the team. I think they have a worse year record-wise than they did, but I think they're overall going to be a better team, if that makes sense. I don't think it does to a lot of people, but they play the AFC West and the NFC West. They make 2 trips to Los Angeles. I think they also play in Las Vegas, and they also play Kansas City. So not the easiest.
Sounds like a lot of L's to me, is what you just said.
So they could go 4-12, but still have a better team. Because they had a soft schedule last year.
You remember that video a while back of Jameis Winston eating the W's and like that weird pregame hype? That's the W.
Yeah, I almost did.
Jets do that with L's, man.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals have too for quite some
time. I know.
I mean, who are you to really talk? Talk to me when you won a playoff game.
I would love to talk when we win a playoff game.
This only. And then win 3 more, and then talk to me.
We'll get there.
Maybe. So what else you got, Justin? Anything for us?
That's all I got for you, my friend.
All right. Well, signing off for Justin, I'm TJ. This was episode 7 of the Dig Route. We'll be back next week. Hopefully with some more news, more things to talk about. We are on Spotify now, so please remember to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and then go over and follow us on Spotify. I would greatly appreciate that all. But once again, for Justin, I'm TJ. Thank you all, and have a great rest of whatever time of day you're listening to this.